time is precisely 1:15 p.m. This is the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. News edited by Dulmin Samarasinghe and read by Chandima Virakon. Headlines. The bus heading to Kataragama from Colombo was taken into police custody along with 51 passengers for violating quarantine regulations. The Director General of Health Services says the COVID-19 virus could spread rapidly when people are having meals with others. The Ministry of Education launches an interest-free loan scheme for students to follow degree programs at non-state institutions. Samagijana Balavegaya says Sri Lanka should not depend on foreign direct investments to move out of the current economic crisis. In foreign news, India hits 10 million coronavirus cases. In sports, it's World Snooker Grand Prix. Judd Trump thrashes Ronnie O'Sullivan to reach final. Local stories in detail. Police said a bus heading to Kataragama from Colombo was taken into police custody yesterday along with 51 passengers for violating quarantine regulations. Police spokesman DIG Ajit Rohana said the bus was detected at the Mattala exit point of the Southern Expressway following information received by the Borella police. He said one passenger who was a permanent resident of isolated Vanathamulla Gramaniladari division had been among the passengers of the bus. He said legal action will be taken against the owner of the bus, driver and the assistant. Director General of Health Services Dr. Asela Gunawardena said the most vulnerable location where the COVID-19 virus could spread rapidly is when people are having their meals with others. Speaking at a gathering yesterday, he said there was a higher tendency of spreading the virus when people were having food together, especially at weddings. The DG said people hardly follow health guidelines when they attend a wedding. He said it is absolutely crucial to adjust to the conditions and live adhering to the health guidelines to do away with the virus. Samagijana Balavegaya MP Dr. Harsha De Silva said yesterday Sri Lanka will not be able to depend on China and foreign direct investments to move out of the current economic crisis. The government has claimed that Sri Lanka's foreign direct investments will grow by $2.5 billion in 2021. Dr. De Silva told a media conference that Sri Lanka was actually losing options. He said economic growth will go down if the importation of capital goods is curtailed. The MP said the only option left for the government is to go for a debt moratorium with the IMF like 70 other countries have done. The Ministry of Education has launched an interest-free loan scheme for students to follow degree programs at non-state institutions. The students who sat for GCE A-level in 2017, 2018 and 2019 can apply for the scheme. The students who will not be able to enter a state university will benefit by the scheme. Those who have not exceeded 25 years of age can submit their applications. Further information can be obtained from www.studentloans.mohe.gov.lk website. Loans can be obtained for several educational institutions including SLIT, NSBM, CENIC, Horizon, Aquinas, SLTC, KIU, ICHEM, ICASL, CIMA, ICBT, BCI and SAGIS universities. An interest-free loan of 800,000 rupees can be obtained. 3 or 4 years will be given to repay the loan. After completing the degree program, another 1-year grace period will be given to pay back the loan. The government has implemented a festival loan scheme for the public servants to celebrate Christmas and New Year. Secretary to the Ministry of Public Administration, J.J. Ratnasiri, has already issued the relevant circular. One such program took place yesterday at the premises of the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. The loan can be repaid in 10 months at an interest rate of 0.62%. The public servants who draw a salary of more than 50,000 rupees per month can get a loan of 50,000 rupees. The public servants who get a salary of 25,000 to 50,000 can get 25,000 rupees. The officials who get less than 35,000 can get a loan of 10,000 rupees. The loan will be issued through Bank of Ceylon, People's Bank, National Savings Bank and Regional Development Bank. Loans will be credited to the accounts of the applicants before next Friday. This news comes to you from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
Continuing with the local stories, another round of discussions between India and Sri Lanka to solve the problems of fishermen will be held on the 30th of this month. Fisheries committees named by both countries will attend the discussions. A series of conferences held at electoral divisions in connection with the 4th anniversary of Sri Lanka Podujana Peramuna will be held today and tomorrow island-wide. It has been organised under the scheme Siu Desa Suraki Siu Wasara. The Kalutara electoral seat conference was held this morning. To end the local news, the headlines once again. A bus heading to Kataragama from Colombo was taken into police custody along with 51 passengers for violating quarantine regulations. The Director General of Health Services says the COVID-19 virus could spread rapidly when people are having meals with others. The Ministry of Education launches an interest-free loan scheme for students to follow degree programs at non-state institutions. Samagijana Balavegya says Sri Lanka should not depend on foreign direct investments to move out of the current economic crisis. That ends local news.
Darling, our daughter has top O-level results. Do you know what this means?
Yes, just 3 years and she'll be going abroad for her degree.
For which we'll need a bank loan.
But is a normal loan the smartest option?
What else?
The smartest way is to start an HDFC Smart Goals account.
Let your child begin their degree with no delays. Start an HDFC Smart Goals account. Call 2356 888.
Honey, you're so smart.
HDFC Smart Goals. All it takes is 3 years.
A mother knows the pain of each member of the family. Siddhalepa, the trusted relief for aches and pains.
An effective therapy for relief from cold, sneezing, flu, headaches, swelling due to toothaches, rheumatic, discomforts, and muscular aches and pains. Siddhalepa, the Veda Mahatmya in every home.
The main news story is brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya.
On the main news story, the National Operations Centre to prevent the spread of COVID-19 says that 662 new COVID-infected patients were found yesterday. 2 of them have arrived from overseas. The highest number of infected persons has been found from the Colombo district, which is 259. The centre said that 164 were found from the Kalutara district and 79 from the Gampaha district. The rest is from other districts of the country. Meanwhile, 5 corona-related deaths have been reported during the 24 hours ended at 6 a.m. today. They are residents of Agalawatta, Maggona, Colombo 15, Maharagama and Vatu Pitivala areas. Accordingly, 165 deaths have been reported in the country so far. That ends the main news story.
The main news story was brought to you by Siddhalepa Veda Mahatmya. Brush your teeth twice a day for healthy teeth and gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, your trusted brands in oral care for many years.
Supiriviki Ayurvedic toothpaste for adults. Kakulu Ayurvedic toothpaste for kids. 9 Ayurvedic ingredients of Supiriviki will protect your teeth and strengthen your gums. Supiriviki and Kakulu, products from Siddhalepa.
Moving on to Watchlight. The National Water Supply and Drainage Board says water supply for several areas in Colombo has been suspended from 9 a.m. today until 3 a.m. tomorrow. Colombo 1, 2, 10 and 12 areas are affected by the 18-hour water cut. Water supply for Colombo 3, 4, 7, 8 and 9 areas are under low pressure during this period. The water cut is being imposed due to restoration of the main transmission pipeline. That ends Watch Light. Moving on to world news, the headlines. India hits 10 million coronavirus cases. The US approves Moderna as a second COVID vaccine. Ginza shoppers clean hands and phones with high-tech wash stations. India exceeded 10 million infections of the new coronavirus today, much later than predicted only a month ago, as the pace of infections slow, despite many in the country giving up on masks and social distancing. After hitting a peak of nearly 98,000 cases in mid-September, daily infections have averaged around 30,000 this month, helping India widen its gap with the United States, the world's worst affected country with more than 16 million cases. Moderna has been approved by the US government as the country's second COVID-19 vaccine, clearing the way for millions of doses to be released. The Food and Drug Administration authorized the US-made jab about a week after approving a Pfizer-BioNTech vaccine, which is now being distributed. The US has agreed to purchase 200 million doses of Moderna, and 6 million may be ready to ship now. The country has the world's highest number of COVID-19 deaths and cases. Shoppers washed their hands and sterilized their smartphones in the streets of Tokyo's Ginza district today, using hand-washing stations that a Japanese startup hopes will revolutionize access to clean water and better hygiene. Water Corp set up 20 of its WOSH wash machines near popular Ginza stores. The machines don't require connection to running water and don't use fresh and waste water tanks. Instead, they recycle and water through a 3-stage process of membrane filtration, chlorine, and deep ultraviolet radiation. To end the world news, the headlines again. India hits 10 million coronavirus cases. The US approves Moderna as second COVID vaccine. Ginza shoppers clean hands and phones with high-tech wash stations. That ends world news. Moving on to development news. The Ministry of Urban Development will launch the Nuwara Eliya District Tourism Development Zone as an eco-friendly area today and tomorrow. Urban Development Authority implements the program on the instructions of the President and the Prime Minister. From Kitulgala to Nuwara Eliya, from Nuwara Eliya to Kandy and Badulla will be developed as a special tourism zone. The area will be developed to attract local and foreign tourists. The creation of the tourism zone will begin with the commencement of beautifying Ginigathena town today. Kotagala Wetland Park Development Project and Thalavakale Town Beautification Project will also commence today. A ministerial subcommittee headed by Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa is scheduled to be appointed for the monitoring activities of the project. That ends development news. On to sports news. It's snooker, darts, rugby and cricket. In snooker, Judd Trump thrashed 6-time world champion Ronnie O'Sullivan 61 to reach the World Grand Prix final. World number 1 Trump raced into a 3-0 lead in Milton Keynes before fellow Englishman O'Sullivan rallied with a clearance of 71. Trump will now face Mark Selby or Jack Liswonski in tomorrow's final. In darts, veteran Paul Lim in his 25th World Darts Championship came from 2 sets down to beat Luke Humshires in 3-4. in the opening round at Alexandra Place. He had a 121 check out on the bullseye during his win over Humphries, averaging 89 to his opponent's 92. And in rugby, Wasps took a big step towards the Champions Cup quarter-finals as they beat 14-man Montpellier to rack up a second bonus point win in Pool A. Number 8, Alfie Barberi, scored 2 tries and set up another in a rampaging performance for the hosts. Montpellier briefly led 14-12 early in the second half after Van Reyleck strolled in for a try. And finally on cricket, today is the third day of the first test of the India Tour of Australia in Adelaide. India scored 244 in their first innings, while Australia scored 191. India was all out for 36 in their second innings. Australia was 53 for no loss a short while ago. That ends sports news. Up next is business news. The Consulate General of Sri Lanka in Sydney recently organised a networking meeting with selected Australian and Sri Lankan entrepreneurs. Consul General Lakshman Hulugalla, welcoming the invited guests, highlighted the importance of promoting trade, investment and tourism between both countries. He also emphasised the importance of establishing the Australia-Sri Lanka Business Council in Sydney, which could also play a pivotal role in facilitating meetings between the private sectors of both countries. That came to you in Business News.
Economic news, courtesy of
Business deals now easy. It just takes a few taps only. Anytime, get it done, all connected. Best discounts with real time. LOLC Real Time. Now download LOLC Finance Real Time app for your LOLC savings account. Attractive interest rates, transactions anytime, anywhere with a zero cost and no benefits.
On economic news, Sri Lanka's manufacturing power came back during November after a temporary setback in October caused by the COVID-19 resurgence in key populous regions. Services activities also made quick gains, although remaining below the level required to show an expansion in activity. Sri Lanka's Manufacturing Purchasing Managers Index for November recorded 57.6 index points, jumping 17.3 index points from 40.3 recorded for October. That ends economic news.
Congratulations on your promotion. Heard you gave a treat for everyone in your department yesterday.
Yeah.
It will be our treat, huh?
Well, how about today?
Oh, no, I was just joking. We'll have a party with your new salary.
It's fine. I have my LOLC credit card with me. Let's go out today.
Those who spread goodness radiate happiness to everyone around them. Introducing LOLC Finance Credit Cards. Fuel the goodness in you.
And finally on the weather report, the Met Department says northeast monsoon conditions are gradually getting established over the island. Showers or thunder showers will occur at times in northern, eastern, north central and Uva provinces and in Matale and Hambantota districts. Fairly heavy falls above 75 millimeters can be expected at some places in eastern province and in Matale and Polonnaruwa districts. Showers or thunder showers will occur at several places in Sabaragamuwa province and in Kalutara, Galle and Matra districts. Fairly strong gusty winds up to 50 kilometers per hour can be expected in northern, north central and northwestern provinces and in Matale and Hambantota districts. That ends the weather report. And to conclude this bulletin of news, the headlines once again. A bus heading to Kataragama from Colombo was taken into police custody along with 51 passengers for violating quarantine regulations. The Director General of Health Services says the COVID-19 virus could spread rapidly when people are having meals with others. The Ministry of Education launches an interest-free loan scheme for students to follow degree programs at non-state institutions. Samangijana Balavega says Sri Lanka should not depend on foreign direct investments to move out of the current economic crisis. In foreign news, India hits 10 million coronavirus cases. In sports, Judd Trump thrashes Ronnie O'Sullivan to reach final in World Snooker Grand Prix. With that, we conclude this bulletin of news from the Sri Lanka Broadcasting Corporation. Over to my friend and colleague Asanka to keep you entertained.